What's that?
We're trying to figure out.
I'm just wondering if anything,
Or ward not. Does it
our
matter?
member, our newest member awarded, up, we don't know which one.
Donda?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Not heard from her.
Well, I know, but is there at the end of her name or no?
It's word ed. No.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
No,
I didn't know if you meant the first name.
Oh,
It's like, yes. Uh,
Well, it's 6:01 and we have a quorum. Why don't we get started? You might call the meeting in the Delta Charter Township zoning Board of Appeals to order. Second one of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. My favorite part. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Arking here, Pascarella,
Present.
McConnell,
Present.
Kaltenbach. Here. Parr,
Here.
Corey,
here.
Warden. Not here. Approval of the agenda. I believe there's a couple of minor fixes. Dave, you're aware of those?
That's for the minutes.
Oh, approval, you're right, approval agenda minutes. Approval of agenda,
So moved.
Support.
all in favor? Opposed, hearing none, agenda is approved. Now approval of the minutes of the June 11th meeting, sorry, folks. I think there's a couple of tiny nits in the minutes you found, Dave.
Yeah, on page 3, sections 2 and 3, there is in the first line there, it says approve/deny. So.
Yep, we can take care of that for the record.
Any,
Being approval of the minutes.
any other
No, that's.
concerns about the minutes? No?
We have, Wardena misspelled, right? Isn't her name
It's,
with the N?
well, it's spelled with an A at the end in the minutes,
Right.
which I understand is not, is incorrect. It's not, there is no A.
That's incorrect. It's EN.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with those 3 changes to roll call and the 2 votes in sections 2 and 3, would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. Approved. That brings us to the public hearings. We have 2 of them tonight. We'll start with case number PV 224-07. Gentlemen, do you want to introduce the case?
Sure. So before the zoning board of appeals today, we have a variance request from section 8.62-C, vehicle sales / leasing and service facilities, to allow a 10.3 vehicle display setback when the ordinance requires a 20-foot vehicle display setback for 7 parking spaces along Lansing Road. This is for the property of D&K Truck Company located at 3020 Snow Road. To the north, we have Lansing Road. To the southeast, Old Lansing Road. To the south, Millet, and to the northeast, Snow. Property zone commercial, to the north is industrial section, and then the surrounding areas are various forms of residential, basically single family residential. As you can find in the staff memo, D&K Truck Company recently received site plan approval with the stipulation that the proposed location of these 7 spots either receive a variance or that they are updated to meet the standards of the zoning ordinance. The building was constructed under our old zoning ordinance, as was the original SLU, which treated display areas for vehicles like we would parking spaces, so with about a 10-foot setback. So the applicant is just asking for a variance to align these 7 spaces with their, I believe it was 32 existing vehicle display spaces along Lansing Road.
Are the,
Good girl.
my apologies. Dave, are those 7 spaces, the 7 to the, I don't know, north?
North Snow.
Northeast.
It's kind of more the furthest north 7, is that where, I don't know how to describe that,
Correct. So
northeast, I guess?
You can see it's outlined in red right here. And then if you were to look back on the aerial photo,
Yeah,
they'd be located right
Those.
there.
okay.
So I guess a key to understanding how to evaluate this is why was the ordinance changed to make it 20 feet for display cars instead of 10 feet for parking cars? And I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily know the answer either. I think in a different setting, something like this is normally going to be in a larger commercial district off a a road that's accessed more regularly by pedestrians and have sidewalks and stuff like that. Where this property is located, it is kind of unique. And that it is commercial district, but it's not near anything else. And being that this area is frontage off Lansing Road, none of those issues kind of come into play.
Any other questions for staff? From board members?
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
I was really impressed with your landscaping.
Oh,
I mean, it looks like a park
Yes.
back there. It's really
that's my
nice.
goal.
It's, it looks terrific.
Thank you very much.
Mm.
If there's no other questions or comments, I'll call a public hearing to order. Then entertain a motion to call the public hearing to order.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is now in order. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to this application? Traditionally, we have applicants run through some criteria to help justify their variance request. Were you briefed on that?
No.
Oh, do you have the criteria for
Of
that?
course.
We do. It's attached to the package and also right here.
Maybe speak for that stuff. Put in front. Don't speak.
So on this page here in the packet, I'm sure staff shared this with you. There's one criteria of the first group that we have to find that you've met that qualification, and then we have to find that you meet all the other ones in the second group.
Provide responses.
Yes and no.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Alan Scott with Rand Construction. We're out of Brighton, Michigan. Working for Mr. Ed Bennett there. A couple pages beyond the direction sheet is my response. We did do our best to, like 2 or 3 sheets past, to respond with a narrative and descriptive language relative to the considerations. So when Ed quickly said no, no meant yes.
So which of the four first criteria are you hanging your hat on? Which do you feel is your leading, your best case?
I went with number 4, where I've listed the standard considerations. That's in reference to number 4. As mentioned, and as you likely well know, Lansing Road is a limited access highway and there's no sidewalks. So there's no merging of traffic, not frequent merging of traffic, no pedestrian traffic. And again, the myriad of spaces that are out against the roadway were approved by this township in 2014 when we built the first round, simply 7 spaces to match. And as pointed out by the beautiful landscaping, this fellow cares what this place looks like. So just to stick some rando spaces somewhere else to do the same job is a God's honest truth of why we're standing here.
Dave, can we go back to the aerial photo at the beginning? Cause any drainage issues on the highway, is it? No, okay. Can we- I'm inclined to, personally, I'm inclined to look favorably at this because I can't find a justification for the shift in the ordinance. I don't know what the rationale was. And I don't know why the 10 feet makes a difference. That's just me. In my opinion, I think they could have picked any number of the first 4 to hang their hat on for the leading criteria, and they also meet all the others. So any other board members have any questions for the applicants or other commentary on that application?
Mr. Chair, just comment one, I'd like
Mr.
to
McDonald.
echo the appearance of the site. It's down the road from me and they keep it impeccably looking well with the landscaping and so forth. Secondly, I can't find any compelling reason or harm that obtains from allowing those vehicles to be parked the same distance as the ones that are already way there. Because coming down Lansing Road, they do not create a distraction or a safety hazard or any other obvious detrimental effect for that particular area. So
I agree. I don't see any qualitative difference between a display car and a parked car.
I'm inclined to support the request.
Any other comments or questions for the applicants? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it is public hearing is closed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion on this action. Yes, girl.
I move that the zoning board of appeals, I move for the board of appeals to approve the requested variance from section 8.62 C of the Delta Township zoning ordinance to allow for 7 additional vehicle display spaces along Lansing Road at a setback of 10.3 feet for setback variance of 9.7 feet from the property line when the ordinance requires a 20-foot setback.
Support.
Oh, well, I shouldn't say that last one. The applicant has demonstrated that the proposed variance request satisfies the review criteria contained in sections 15.04 B and C of the zoning ordinance.
I support it too soon. Take back the first one and give it now.
So we have a motion on the floor, it has support, let's have a roll call vote on that. Harking, yes. Cascarilla,
Yes,
Mr. McConnell,
Yes.
Kaltenbeck,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Corey.
Yes.
All right, the motion has passed. Staff, please inform the applicant of next steps.
Well, you're currently in site plan review, so you can just keep your plan as it is.
Okay. See these questions back there for you. What's your for the final step in the approval process? That stipulation would be followed.
You still have comments that need to be submitted.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we're on those.
yep.
Thank you all. I just want to say one more thing. If I were to retire from this community, I would want Mr. McConnell to write my poem. That was lovely. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was good.
It was very good.
And a dramatic reading of it too.
Yes, yes.
Any offers?
Thanks again, guys. Thank you.
Sam plan information.
That brings us to the second public hearing, second case for tonight, case number PV 24-08. This is revisited from what we did last time. They came to us with 3 variance requests. One of them was approved, 2 of them were denied, and they are back to have the others 2 amended, approved in amended form. That's definitely introduced this amended requirements.
So the variance before us, this is for 4930 South Kreitz Road for proposed tailgaters, gas station / convenience store / Dunkin' Donuts restaurant. Variance is from the Greenbelt landscaping requirements, specifically section 12.02-J 3B and C, to allow 14 greenbelt trees and 28 shrubs when the ordinance would require 27 greenbelt trees and 103 shrubs. So as the board is familiar with the request, I will just point to this comparison chart that we made so you can kind of see on the left here is what they're requesting today. And on the right is what was requested last month. So going by for required trees on Empire Way is 10, provided is 7. Percent provided is 70%. On Empire Way, the required number of shrubs is 38, provided is 7 for 18% provided. On Kreitz and Lansing Road, the required number is 17. They're providing 7%, provided is 41. Required shrubs is 65. The provided is 21 for a 32% compliance, and then combined total, the ordinance is looking for 27 trees on site, or where there's 14 provided, so it's about 52%, and 103 shrubs where there's 28 provided, and it's about a 27% compliance rate.
Any questions for staff from board members? Or comments for staff? Yeah. You on this, Dave, and Pete, is that I appreciate that the applicant has sharpened their pencil, but on some of the numbers, but my issue was never really the numbers of trees and shrubs itself. It was the principle. I mean, I needed to understand how those red numbers were arrived at and what, I mean, I had to need a way to qualify why we would be making a decision to deviate from the zoning board or from the zoning ordinance. And I'm not sure I have that yet. That's just me. I understand applicants have made a security case for it, and I know the correspondence they put in the news article. Perhaps a better way of making that, a more forceful way of making that would be a supporting letter from the county sheriff's department talking about security screening, of the security of a problem, have too many trees for people to hide it, but we don't have that before us. That's just my comments. Any other comments for staff? Questions?
Yes, I think they made significant changes. I was for them before and I still am. I think they made some significant changes, many more, around the trees.
I can't hear you, Sue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have the worst voice in the world. I think the canopy trees that they put in more than that than they did the first time, so. And that seemed to be one of the issues that, some of the people thought was wrong with this whole entire thing. They put in more bushes and, I think it's gonna be a really nice place for Delta Township. That land has been vacant for so long. Yeah, and there's so many trucks that'll keep the trucks off of our other roads. They'll all go over there. So, I mean, it has nothing to do with zoning board of appeals.
I appreciate everything you're saying, but for me, this is a bit, this is a different request than the last one. I'm having trouble understanding why I'd be saying yes, other than applicant wants it. And I gotta have more than that. But that's just me.
No, I concur, but I'd like to hear from the applicant.
Yeah, I was just about ready to ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
You got it. Move to open the public hearing.
Support from Ms. Coscarello. Motion to open the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none. The motion is, public hearing is open. Would you care to make any new comments on this application? I'll state your name and address for the record, sorry.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Haddad. I'm from 4930 Kreitz Road. Well, first of all, I appreciate your consideration of the variance. I'd like to start by reading the letter with some additional notes that I've added since the letter was submitted. Since our meeting in June, I've increased the plantings in both the Lansing and Kreitz Road Greenbelt and the Empire Way Greenbelt. The total number of plantings and percentages increased are both listed below. I'd like to begin by saying what I'm proposing tonight will look outstanding when it's completed. It is also nearly identical design to our DeWitt location, just with 25% more trees and shrubs. I also believe that it will not negatively affect any of our industrial center neighbors. So part of being out there in that industrial center is we're not necessarily zoned industrial, but we're zoned commercial, but headlights traveling around our site will not, we don't necessarily need bushes around the green belt to block headlights going into somebody's window next door, say a residential area, if we were in a residential area. I just don't believe that any light, noise, pollution will, there's not a single other user near us at that time of night. So Tailgaters Dunkin' Sunoco will be one of the few businesses within Delta Township that is open 24/7, 365. Doing business overnight has its own set of challenges. In my experience operating the 3 existing tailgaters, most bad things happen after 11 p.m. Providing a safe, well-lit environment is paramount for our staff and guests alike. The entire property should be open and visible to passing law enforcement driving by at night. Building a jungle within the green belt will severely compromise the view of passing officers and allow criminals to hide in the shadows. By limiting sight views and creating blind spots with excessive shrubs, we will be providing areas for criminals to get a sense of security. Exiting your vehicle at 2 a.m. to pump gas becomes a lot less enticing when you can only see 25 feet to the edge of the curb. The article below is from the Lansing State Journal. It's a prime example of a criminal using a low-lying shrub to conceal himself. My fiancee, Emily Johnson, who will be managing this location, was working at Burger King when she was in college. And on the morning of August 3rd, 2015, she arrived at 5:30 a.m. to help open the restaurant. She was approached, as she approached the employee entrance, her manager and an armed robber met her at the door. The robber made her come inside as he finished emptying the safe and cash registers. The armed robber had gained access by lying in the shrubs near the employee entrance. As the manager had approached to open the building to unlock the door, he rose up and presented the firearm. Although shrubs are said to only be 2 or 3 feet in the ordinance, that allows for plenty of room for somebody to still conceal themselves. At this new location, I'll be employing countless minors. At our other locations, we have approximately 20 minor individuals working for us out of the 50 to 55 individuals on staff. Many of those shifts that are typically worked by those minors are Saturday and Sunday mornings. Pre-dawn hours are our start times, many of those occasions. The employee parking lot at this site will be near the Empire Way Greenbelt. Again, it's not fun hopping out of your car in the dark when you can only see to the edge of curb. The employee parking back along Empire Way, that's another one of those issues I have with having the 3 road frontages. It just presents another hardship. One other issue that has recently come to my attention involving the nighttime safety at this site. We originally had our photometric plan above what is allowed by ordinance. I had noted to myself how bright this site was going to be, and I thought it was a win for safety. At site plan review, however, I learned of our mistake. This is what I mentioned earlier about how we are just right on the doorstep of industrial versus commercial zoning. If we were zoned industrial, we wouldn't have any of the requirements. And what I found after looking at our newly constructed photometric is that this is the darkest site of any of the other 3 sites that I have in the Lansing area. So the last hardship we face at this site is the road frontage. We hold on 3 sides. I've mentioned that before. The frontage on Empire Way alone requires an additional 38 shrubs and 10 trees that on a typical hard corner site would not be needed. That one road frontage alone requires more trees and shrubs than we have at our entire Okemos location. Can I answer any questions?
Ms. Cascarilla.
Yeah, I actually had a question for staff.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind, can you remind us, I think our landscaping ordinance serves a variety of purposes, and the applicant spoke about one just with like kind of headlights and providing kind of a buffer for that. I'm sure there are some just general aesthetics, others just more environmental as well. Can you just kind of run through, kind of cover, just quickly speak to kind of what the purpose of the landscaping requirements are, and
I
what
think
goals they serve?
you hit every one of them. You know, it's a multitude of factors. One of them is aesthetic beauty, but here's pulling up the stated purpose, which is landscaping is the organization of outdoor space and shall be treated as an important design element. The landscape plan shall be designed to achieve the following purposes: to preserve and enhance the identity or character of the site, to screen or filter views, buffer incompatible land uses, and blend in harmonious land uses, to integrate and unify various parts of the site, to improve the local environment by controlling soil erosion, moderating harsh or unpleasant sounds, removing air pollutants, controlling light trespass and reflection, moderating winds and the effects of climate, and promoting stormwater infiltration. And 5, to preserve and enhance existing environmental systems and wildlife habitat, including woodlands, wetlands, and grasslands.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And actually, that kind of more detailed description of the purpose is really helpful in thinking about the context of that intent and this site in our industrial district and the use and then around it, as well as this lot. In my mind, this is a very unique lot, having 3 sections of frontage. The requirements, I think, not only, when you think of a typical lot, you're dealing with one piece of frontage, one section of frontage, and this has 3 just because of its unique nature and given where it is. In my mind, a reduction doesn't kind of violate, I don't know if that's the right word, the intent of those, especially given this unique lot, the location and the surrounding, the issues with headlights and trying to, there's probably not an issue, a concern with that because it's not really and I forget the word that was in there, not inappropriate or
Incompatible?
incompatible use with that area. So it actually serves to be an excessive burden where compared to the typical site, just because of the unique nature of this lot and its location and the uses around it. So I think I was supportive previously. I think even more so, very much appreciate the efforts to increase the landscaping, but it is, I don't think we should feel we're overall for a single site, it's a significant amount of landscaping that's being proposed. I don't think anyone's going to drive by there and probably feel like it's a sparse site and not is vacant of landscaping, but that's my personal opinion. But thank you. That's really helpful for me to kind of have that detailed intent behind our landscaping ordinance.
Andrea's nuanced consideration of the intent of the ordinance is actually more persuasive than I thought. I think you might have changed my mind.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Calvin.
And I tend to agree with Andrea as well. And taking a look at that property, I mean, it's like sitting there by itself, like an island. I don't see any trees or any greenery anywhere else around it. And so I would say, that given the ordinance requirements, that may be, they may be adequate, they may be needed in perhaps a different section, a different district, where you have housing around you, you have other commercial properties around you, you have things that you need to keep, you want to keep in tone with. Now, there's nothing else there. So I would say that any plantings on that property would be an improvement. And if it's an issue about, well, it really can't do much more, and this is our limit. You've done something, it's much more than what's provided already. I think it's a terrific improvement. And particularly having that property developed is a tremendous improvement. I mean, when I looked at it, I was just kind of shocked. And when I went on to Empire Way, I mean, I couldn't even realize why it was there. I mean, there were businesses along it, but I didn't really understand. I could see maybe some greenery back there would assist if you had property back in that area. But I don't know. I just think, they've done some work. They're bringing some improvement. They're definitely improving the corner with their construction, and then the greenery that they're providing, I think, is sufficient. Given their position, the properties around it, and so I support it, which I did the last time as well.
Is landscaping going to include any berms?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is your landscaping around the edges going to include any berms?
As far as you mean like raised beds, so
Yeah.
to speak?
Something like that.
There's not necessarily raised beds proposed, but no, not at this time.
Okay.
Would that help sway you?
Thank you.
I've got some lingering concerns about car headlights shining into the road from the gas station. Would ameliorate that. Or could.
There really, there's really, excuse me, Mr. Chair, there really isn't anything around it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There's commercial on Empire Way,
Mhm.
and then, what do you call those things? Where your storage, the storage buildings
storage,
next to it. And so, you know, if you think of this, if this is zone commercial, we wouldn't have, I mean, zone industrial, we wouldn't have this problem. But they're surrounded by industrial and office. And everything on Empire Way, there's not a tree or limb, but I understand that probably was before the ordinance.
Mr. Chair, there have been some excellent points made. That this in fact is different for a couple of reasons. Those have been identified. I also believe that the guidelines were established for a reason. And for me, the significance of the deviation is still a problem for me. So while I think a rationale supports some deviation, this is fairly significant, which causes me a problem. In addition to the fact that there's always added value for additional planted trees and so forth. So I, again, would not be inclined to support it.
May I add one additional comment? And I think I mentioned that at the last meeting about the 27 shrubs that are added to the site that are not counted in the calculations. And I understand that's not part of the ordinance. It's not in the green belt. I get that, but they are on the site to make the site look great, and it will look great. I'd like it to look as good as D&K Trucking. That's my goal.
Any other thoughts from board members or questions for the applicant?
Yeah.
Mr. Corey?
I appreciate that obviously you have 3 roads to deal with, so, but my concern is basically how did you calculate your numbers? The ordinance specifies so many shrubs and trees for certain areas. And this was my concern last time was, you know, where did you get your numbers?
Sorry.
So, because it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't add up. I mean, yes, you have increased them, but what made you determine that amount of an increase?
Why this many more trees as
Yeah.
opposed to that many more?
I just did what I thought was reasonable, and I worked with the landscape architect and counted how many shrubs I've got at the other 3 locations I've got that look terrific, have well-maintained landscape. People comment every day about how terrific those sites look from the curb. I did close to what we have there. Actually 25% more, as I stated. I wasn't trying to ask for anything that I thought was too unreasonable. To me, it looks like I think this would be a terrific site out there. I think it would, excuse me, I think it would look great.
Scott Scarlett.
Just wanted to ask a question as a follow-up to Mr. Corey's. It looks like you tried to add more in the back part of the property, understanding the trees probably are part of a greater part of the concern. Although I don't know, maybe you can walk through where the new ones are. But obviously with security concerns, you're restricted on where in the, along the frontage you can include those. Is there room to add any more? It looks like you have some additional, or I don't know if it's additional, but you have some on the, yeah, these lots are, I don't know if that's more the southeastern part along Empire Way. Is there any room to add more along the the southern part there along Lansing Road?
If I can add to that, particularly with regards to shrubs, I believe you could add a lot more shrubs without creating a security concern here. Shrubs can be quite small. Nobody's gonna hide behind some of those.
It's, what would make you happy?
Can you walk through just on the map where you added?
Yeah, so in the southeast corner where it says HM in the bottom right-hand side. A little up and to the right, if you don't mind, David. So there's a cluster of 7 shrubs right there. And then to the north, about another, right where it says SD7, that's 7 of the 14 that were added along that green belt. And I believe there was 21 total in that green belt. I don't have the, let's see. So it was 14 along that green belt, and then an additional 7 was added along the Empire Way green belt. So it's that abbreviation HM7 all the way on the left side of the screen. Really hoping you can recognize the safety aspect. I disagree that a criminal can't hide behind a 2 to 3 foot bush. Our kids are gonna be working at these sites. They're gonna be coming in at 5:30 in the morning in the pitch black. We're dealing with a site that's not the brightest site in the world to begin with. And I just think it's a safety issue. Clogging it up with bushes would hurt that.
When you were mentioning that you're putting another, what it says 62 bushes in, that is not on the plan.
There's an additional 27 that are not
27,
calculated
right. And
in
where would that
in the
be?
tables, in the interior of the site. So exactly, yeah. And then there's some around our menu board. There's some near one of our signs that is on the south side of the site.
Of course, we don't get to count those for the green belt.
No, but I do think it's relevant. It's not a matter of just not planting shrubs and trees. It's a location and a safety factor.
Now, this will be open, 24 hours.
24 hours a day forever. We're gonna open up and then throw away the key.
So people won't be opening it up.
No,
Okay.
no.
It'll be open all the time.
All the time.
Okay.
No shrubs or anything around the building itself.
Not next to the building, correct?
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Before you do that, and we'll get to that, Mr. Ed, you've come up to 52% of the requirement on trees. Could you do that on shrubs as well? Could you come up to like, the requirement is 103? Would you come up to 50, 51, 52?
What am I at right now? Let's see. Looks like 28.
Right now you're 28.
You know, this wouldn't be my first choice, but would it be backhanded of me to remove the ones from the interior of the site and add them? I guess I wouldn't want to do that. I want the site to look good. I don't want to do something that doesn't look appropriate, so.
It would be 26 additional shrubs.
Okay. Is it okay if I ask if that's what it's gonna take to get support?
I can't speak for any, others already are supporting it.
I
I like
have a pretty good idea of what it's gonna shape out to be right now.
Yeah.
I don't wanna send it to vote, cause.
Right, you don't want to come back again, right? I can go with a 50% standard. That, to me, acknowledges the difference in the site. And still preserves some of the integrity of the intent. So. That's me personally.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Carla?
Just a little food for thought. I don't know, you know, if 50% is arbitrary or if any number, you know, what on shrubs and trees, you know, if there's a purpose or if that ends up being more than arbitrary. But this, I just lost it. I would just argue, if we're gonna try and think about number, and I just put out there, given it has 3 areas of frontage, maybe it should be a third, because that would give one true area of frontage like a traditional lot would have, instead of 3 or 4. And we're basically asking for 2 areas of frontage to kind of meet this frontage landscaping requirement, when a traditional lot has one side of frontage. And, you know, I think our ordinance is written general, you know, it's kind of a standard. We always have these unique circumstances, but, you know, I think generally and I know I was on the planning commission when we started, I think I have actually overlapped. I was on planning commission when we started rewriting our entire ordinance, and then on the board when we finally approved it, and made the recommendation on the planning commission to the board, and then approved it when I joined the board. So I do think this lot is very unique, and it's not, you know, generally we think about things more traditionally. Every lot is a little bit different and it doesn't always work that way, and it's not cookie cutter. And I think that's why we have this ZBA process. But if you think about what those requirements would be, if it was a traditional lot with one side of frontage, it wouldn't be near the numbers that we're talking about for this variance request. And so I do think the lot is a significant factor to consider in trying to establish what might be an appropriate number. And so just offer thinking about it in that context.
Appreciate that. I was willing to, discount for the handicap of 3 front yards. But, I don't know if I was willing to go down 2/3. I don't know if there's any calculus for it. I somehow 50% is doable to me. That seems,
So David, what you're asking for is 26 extra. Would you go for 10 extra?
10 extra instead of 26
Correct,
on the shrubs.
on the shrubs.
I don't think I could, no.
We know what the 1/3
One
would be.
1/3 would be a required 34 on the entire site, meaning they would need to provide 6 additional shrubs than what's presented on this plan.
That's not counting the 26 they have
That's not kind of, but
that aren't part of the frontage, but are on the being included in the lots.
from my perspective, though, I would argue that those 26 were kind of the grounds why the third variance in the last time got approved. It's because it was kind of a trade-off. So, I mean, for what that is.
Thanks.
Any other comments from board members? So Mr. Ed, I don't know how well you can read the room of the tea leaves, but I don't know that we can go down to, I don't know that you'll be successful at a lower number than, a lower ratio than 50%. I mean, I can push the vote right now and we can find out.
Sounds like 50% it is.
50%. So that would be, this is shrubs only, all the other numbers stay the same.
And this is gonna count for the trees variance then too, correct? We're talking about,
I think this is shrubs only.
Just the shrubs only, trees stay at 52%.
correct. So you're gonna,
So the shrubs are gonna go up from 28 to approximately 52.
okay, I can live with that.
Probably appropriate if I ask, are there any other comments or concerns or questions from board members? With that amended proposal from the applicant, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Self moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion if anybody wants to make one, or I'll make it.
Go ahead, David.
All right, let me go to the right page.
Page 3.
Page 3. One is shrubs and which one is trees on this? Is it one or two?
One is tree and the
Okay.
second one is shrub.
All right. So, first motion regarding the trees, I move that the Delta Township Zoning Board of Appeals approve the requested variance from section 12.02 J.3.B in case number PV 24-06 for the following reason. The applicant has demonstrated the proposed variance request satisfies the review criteria contained in section 15.04 B and C of the zoning ordinance. Motion on the floor to support, all in favor? No. Roll. Parking, yes. Tuscarilla,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
Mr. Kaltenbach,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mr. Corey.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, on the second motion. I move that Delta Township Zoning Board of Appeals approve the requested variance as amended here today by the applicant from section 12.02-J.3.C in case number PV 24-06 for the following reason. The applicant has demonstrated the proposed variance request satisfies the review criteria contained in section 15.04 B and C of the zoning ordinance.
Support.
Motion on the floor, it has support, roll call, Arkin, yes. Ms. Cascarella,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell,
Yes.
Mr. Kaltenbach,
Yes.
Ms. Parr,
Yes.
Mr. Corey.
Yes.
Both motions have passed. Staff, please inform the applicant of next steps.
So you have received approval for your variance request. Obviously, you'll need to resubmit a landscaping plan showing 24 more shrubs than what has been proposed on what you submitted here.
Okay,
You can submit that with your ongoing site plan packet.
perfect. Sounds good. I appreciate the support.
Best of luck to you.
Yep, thank you.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah, welcome.
I think I gotta come back one more time, believe it or not. So I think I'll see you one more time, yeah.
To us? Oh,
Yeah.
goodness. Oh,
But,
Well, till we meet again.
yeah, this one will be easier, I promise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other business? Before the board.
Couple things.
Hmm?
No, we skipped a couple things.
We did?
Yeah.
Earlier we did, but.
Correspondence and citizen comments not on the agenda. But
What is happening to my brain? You can just let me do that. What's happening to your brain? No, I'm just-
It wasn't.
Oh, busy working on
I
it?
am so sorry. I skipped you. Citizen comments, we did that. No, we did not do that. Citizen comments right up down on the agenda? All right, nothing. And there was probably nothing before. Correspondence. Gentlemen, any correspondence on these?
No.
I didn't think there was.
anything, other things on the agenda as far as what's going on in the township? And hear the gurus of all of that.
Well, the planning commission had its meeting last night. They approved. What did they approve, Dave?
So Delta Energy Park, which is the former Erickson plant,
Yeah.
is updating the type of infrastructure they have on site to generate power. So they got previously approved for a reciprocating internal combustion engine project. And then they'll be coming again for a solar farm array. And then all the energy that is stored or generated by those two things will then be stored in basically an array of lithium ion batteries, which is what they got approval for yesterday. So that will go in front of the board next Monday. Additionally, we had a request for an accessory dwelling unit for a gentleman who wants to move his mother-in-law into his home, but give her own independence, which will also be at the board on Monday.
Yeah, we have an ordinance that allows accessory dwelling units, but they have to be attached and they're limited to occupancy by family members only. So that was approved last night. It'll go on to the board, recommended for approval to go on to the board. Those are the big one, most recent cases.
Got it.
But we don't at this time have any applications for zoning board of appeals.
But I imagine tailgaters might be back.
Tailgaters may be back and the context for that is related to site lighting. So being, I'm not making their case for them, but being the kind of use that they do require a higher intensity light related to safety. So they have right now a photometric plan that is higher in one area than would be permitted. So they may be seeking relief for that from the zoning board of appeals.
It's very similar to the situation with the ATM that we just had. So,
It's a small portion of the site, not the entire site.
yeah.
Did I just give away all the screening for the high intensity light they're gonna have?
No, this will be directed downward under a canopy.
Yep.
Oh. Other business, I guess I would say, again, my apologies for skipping around on the agenda, missed some items, sorry about that. I would just also like to say thanks for people coming together in a spirit of cooperation in the last case. It was kind of a tough one. There were compelling cases for holding them to the letter of the ordinance, and then it was compelling cases for seeing why that could be ameliorated. And I think we ended up in a good place. Any other good?
If you do know anyone that might be willing to volunteer to serve either as a full member or an alternate, it would be appreciated if you could send them our way. It just, no one wants to lose a case on a 3-3 tie.
Right.
So, and I mean, it might be inevitable. It's hard to find, I've worked in 3 municipalities in the last 4 years. It's hard to find volunteers these days. I don't know if it's a combination of politics and community service or what it is, but we don't have a deep roster or a bag of applicants to go to right now. So if you do know anybody, please let us know.
And they're, the procedure for doing that, they need to apply to.
They need to apply, I would go to the clerk's office and it gets routed through the township supervisor. But we can facilitate that process.
Only criteria is they live in Delta Township
Must live in Delta Township.
and be 18 years old.
Yes.
They have to be fun. Have to be what? Have to be fun. Oh, my God.
Oh, I wanted to ask you when we're getting paid because Talbot's is having a sale.
When does this group get paid?
You guys get paid twice a year now.
No,
It used to be quarterly,
no,
so
it's July.
I imagine soon.
I'll ask and shoot an email out to the
I'm
group.
just teasing.
The only other business item I have is, if you could, look into what it would take to get, the website updated, because we have a lot of ex-members on here.
We talked about that before the meeting. I will get down that first thing in the morning.
Okay, great, appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Board comments. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're adjourned.
Anybody ever-